ask you, Bryant, about you said you went upstate and you had to litigate for yourself.
Yeah, I know this.
Can you tell us about what that's like? What is it like to have to litigate for yourself?
So it's like you guys, you got legal training from institutions, but I had to learn like to defend myself, like, you know, because I was wrongfully convicted also, right? So, you know, that's all. That was part of my, like, to keep the time going by, to learn as much about the law as I could. And as I started learning and as I started going to parole boards, getting hit like several times, then I said, you know what, let me do my own parole appeal. So
what does getting hit mean?
It means to get denied parole, and they assess you two-year holds every time, right?
Wow.
So I went to 5 parole boards, right? I went to 6 parole boards, and I got released at the 6th one, but I got denied 5 times, right? So I spent like roughly 10 years past my minimum, right?
Damn.
And so that was my desire to learn law. So as I was doing my parole appeal, you know, other prisoners were like, "Could you do my work?" And I was like, "Bet." And then I did.
Yes, bet.
So I was doing my parole appeal. I did someone else's. They was challenging. They got denied temporary release, and then the other guy his Hague for the sentencing. So this is 3 different areas of law, and that was my first time really like even filing anything. So I did 2 78s and a Hague all simultaneously, and
when you're doing it for
When you say 78, you mean Article 78.
Yeah.
Right. And can you explain what that is?
So Article 78 is a proceeding to challenge administrative decision. So you know, a parole hearing is an administrative decision. Like if you supposedly your kid gets suspended from school, that's an administrative hearing. So you could do a 78. So yeah, so I you know, I did it from research, you know, and they didn't have no legal digest, no legal database. You got to go in the library. You got to get that digest, find the subject, find the cases, all that.
I don't even want to do that.
But you find it better like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you read the case, then you find the case that you're going to use. Sometimes, like when I did the challenging the temporary release denial, there was no cases. So just the statute. And you know, I filed it. It was the same judge of some upstate county.
So when you're filing it for the benefit of one of your some people you're in jail with, are you able to put your name on it, or are you doing it in
I do underground. So I have my typewriter in the day room.
Typewriter.
It's like my office. I had on the table.
Okay.
The guys are sitting there. One guy, he didn't speak English, so I have another prisoner interpreting.
Wow.
And that's the guy with the articles, the temporary release. He got caught with he got charged and convicted with a kilo of cocaine, and a lot of guys are like, "Yo, he's not gonna get temporary release. They're not gonna let him go." They let him go, and you know, I did his work, and
that's fucking God's work. Bro.
look, back to back.
God's work,
the first one was his. It came back in the mail. He gave it to me to read, and it was like he won the decision in order. I was like, "You going home?" And I gave it to him. And then the second one was the guy with the Hague. Yo, you going home? And then mine came back last, and it was just with parole they just give you a new hearing. So they gave me a new hearing. So instead of 2 years, they sent me back within that 1 year. So that's why I got 6 boards. You know what I'm saying? Because they gave me an extra one. But that was kind of that's when I knew that, like, you know, public interest was for me. But all I wanted to do was be a paralegal. And then, you know, so I just kept helping people, and it was like I was winning. I was like I wasn't taking no L's. I was like, you know, high 90%.
How many did you end up doing?
I was doing a lot of. I was winning at the administrative level. You know what I'm saying? Like I was winning a lot of temporary release appeals. A lot of I was doing the parole appeals still. I was winning 78s. I was just kept on doing all types of immigration, family court stuff, like all types of. So that's why, like, that's how I learned law. Like I learned, like, you still, like, you know how some lawyer, like in our firm, you got staff attorneys and they just do from pre-trial, right, to conviction or whatever disposition. But the way I learned it is like even though we started in the trial part, I also did I went to the appellate division with you and all that. Like I did all that. So I was like, but it was just incredible, man. I was like, wow. Like I knew it wasn't a fluke. I was like, this is not a fluke. Like to win 3 things back to back your first time, like to really, it was amazing. And then just kept winning, and it was just amazing.
So, would you say that in your experience, having gone through this, having been in the jail, right, and having to talk to this prison, right,
Facts.
having been through the experience and seeing people who had no idea what to do.
Yeah, it's rough because like you have, it's rough. Like I was able to stay away from like I didn't want to perpetuate my own oppression, so. I stayed away from all the prison vices, and I was able to make safe spaces for people that, that couldn't really, what I'm saying? So, like, if you was in a housing unit with me, you lived because, I just was like that, right? So, I ran into, you got guys that's, the young kids, like, I seen generations change. So, when I came into prison, I was 20 years old, and the oldest number was a 70 number, right? So my number was like a 93 number, 93 A 4410. So you have these guys with 70 numbers, right? And then fast forward when we get into the 2000s, like 2008, 2005, that 93 number is like one of the oldest numbers. You know what I'm saying? So I'm dealing with different generations, but I'm able to navigate that because, I could connect with them on a human level, and I'm authentic, and you know what I'm saying? And that just carries on more. That's how I was able to to really grow in a very impressive environment where, most, you see our clients, most of them don't do well, So when you're encountering these guys that's in these prison vices, like they might be involved with gangs, drugs, whatever, and when they get into trouble, who they're going to come to? They're going to come see me. But they're doing all this, and I think guys that were sentenced to life under the drug statutes, but because of their behavior in prison, when they changed the Rockefeller Law, they were unable to go home or get the life taken off because of their prison record.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? So I was telling you, look, you in here playing around, you could be in the streets because they just reformed the Rockefeller Law. But
So you were in there in 2008 when the law came.
Yeah, all the way from I got 1992 all the way to 2011. I only been out in the streets 13 years. I was able to, when I came home to abject poverty. I was living in a rented room, and the poorest section in the Bronx, and I had to.
You mean the Bronx?
You're talking about over there, Prospect Avenue, the poorest section of the Bronx. And I had to. I built up a lot of discipline. I had plans, but sometimes when you come out and you're going from one adversity to another one. So like I think prison allowed me to successfully go from one adversity successfully. So when I came home, I was just like, I was a little I was like, dang, wow, it's still a struggle, but I was like, you know what? I stayed focused to my purpose. My purpose was just to get a job, get into college, and and I just kept on grinding. It was hard, I was working at Hunts Point Market. Like some of those conditions were worse than prison conditions were, you know what I'm saying? Like 40 plus hour work weeks, I was fortunate. I met my wife in City College and got married. So I had to do all these things. The pressure of like, you can never catch up, but you feel like you got to catch up, and you got to do all these. You got to re-enter society. You want to have a family. You want to have a career. You want to do all these things. You got to do all these things together. And sometimes that's a lot for a lot of people. You know what I mean? So, but I was, by the grace of God, I was able to do it. So, it's just been a rough journey, but
So, considering the astronomical growth and development and goodwill you've conducted, have you considered applying for a clemency petition?
Actually, I'm still trying to get my case overturned. So I've been working. I've just been working on it. I'm waiting for the DA to send me their case file and all that. and I'm gonna go. You know, I'm gonna start from there. You know, so it's you know, I'm working on it.
All right. And what would be your advice to people who are facing this, right? Other than read what you're dealing
So
with.
when I was in Albany doing some parole advocacy, and then there was a guy he was speaking in front of a press conference, and he was talking about how, you know, how difficult it was. He was sleeping on his mother's couch, and, you know, this is a guy that did like 30, 40 years, and he's much older than me. I was released at 39, like the end of my prime, like, you know what I'm saying? So I understand the struggle, but I also understand that. So after he spoke, I just talked to him. I said, "Oh, listen, man, you know, I told him, you know, that I have a similar experience, and I told him that, listen, you know, reentry is like a lifelong thing, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm at a different phase. Like I've been in the streets for 13 years, so I'm at a different stage of my reentry than you are. And I was like, just keep doing what you're doing. Things are gonna get better for you. You're gonna get opportunities. You know what I'm saying? So just to say that, and then he was like, thank you, and like, just to say that to somebody that's going through it. So I know that will help him, because he'll be like, that'll inspire him and be like, it gives him light. Like, if he could do it, I could do it.
Yeah, facts. Like you gotta grind, man. It's like anything else in life. Obviously, it's a much more difficult grind than the average person has to go through. But like everything else, he's gotta work on it one day at a time.
And it's just, it's like if you met me when I first was released, I was so hungry. It was like, and I think, and like just trying to do so much. There's been times like burnout, like, you know what I'm saying, literal burnout, like especially in undergrad, like working full time and undergrad at the same time, like doing all that. So, I advise people to, like, just don't try to play catch up. Just, just do the best you can, and don't burn yourself out. You know what I mean? Just try to live a full life as you can. You know what I mean?